All right, hello everyone. Welcome. We are live. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to another Elixir Kitchen Community Connections class. We have a very exciting class for you today. So thanks for joining us. My name is Jeremy Capone. I am the wellness chef, and welcome back again to the amazing Daniela Fugini. Hello, Daniela.
Hi. It's so nice to be back for our June special. And yeah, so I'm a registered dietitian. I love doing these sessions or co-hosting with Jeremy. I always learn a lot myself, and then I pretend I'm really smart when I'm talking to my nephews. But anyway, with summer just being around the corner next week, I think Wednesday next week, June 21st, we thought it would be a good opportunity for us to review some summer safety tips for outdoor cooking, or if you're going on a picnic, or if you're someone who's into camping. And what better way to do that with 3 new tantalizing recipes from our infamous Jeremy. I was just telling him I'd like to be in his head to find out how he creates these amazing combinations. And guess what? My fire alarm is going off.
Hopefully,
I'm gonna throw it over to Jeremy for a second.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Hopefully everything is okay. It's just an announcement. We'll jump back in. But yes, we are talking about outdoor cooking. I think is definitely the time for sure. Easing into the summer, the camping, the picnics, the backyard grilling, and when we're talking about cooking outdoors and cooking away from our kitchen, maybe our space where we have all of our comforts, our home comforts. Food safety is obviously of prime importance. So I think Daniela's back.
I'm back. Yes. And I wanted to add that it's also important because many of us, if you have cancer, you might have a weakened immune system. So it's doubly important to carry through with these precautions. But the 3 recipes we're going to prepare today, or Jeremy's going to prepare and we're going to watch, are grilled corn and chickpea salad with feta, turmeric lime yogurt marinated chicken, and lemon olive oil cake with basil and berries. Did you hear that? Lemon olive oil cake with basil and berries. Sounds scrumptious. So without further ado, let's get into that first recipe. So just a little intro. This grilled corn and chickpea salad is a refreshing summer salad that is high in plant protein and fiber. So it's a great choice for a picnic in the park, a tasty way to add a meatless meal to your day. So with this recipe, what we want to highlight is the temperature danger zone. I think many of you have heard us talk about cold foods cold, hot foods hot. Well, what we're going to do today is tell you more about that temperature danger zone, what it means, and why it's important for us to focus on those temperatures when we're cooking. Over to you, Jeremy.
Wonderful. Thanks, Daniela. So yes, we're going to jump into this really nice, refreshing salad with corn as the star. I think we're starting to see a lot more seasonal vegetables coming to our markets and our grocery stores. And it's just a wonderful time to be able to utilize these ingredients. This really fresh, delicious salad with our corn. So starting off with our grill. I am in the basement, if you don't know already. So no barbecue, but I still do have a nice grill pan. So we're going to take advantage of that. So you can, and again, if you're cooking indoors, this is a great sort of tool to have to kind of, give you that sort of grill marks and the char. But if you're cooking outdoors, we're going to sort of treat it the same way. And what I do is just wash the corn really well, and we are going to not dress it at all. So I'm not actually putting any oil on it. I'm just going to put it on the grill grates. As long as you clean your grill grates, whether you're using a propane or gas grill, or if maybe you're camping and you have your own little grill or little charcoal grill, it's important to clean the grate really, really well. But from the heat alone, it should provide its own sort of non-stick property, so you don't really have to add too much oil. I do find that adding oil to veg before you put it on the grill can cause the oil to smoke, to burn, and we don't want that. And it will impart a bitter flavor as well. So I'm just sort of dry grilling the corn until I get some really, really nice color on the outside. It will start to blister a little bit and soften, and we know it's ready to go and remove from the grill when it's at this point. So from here, I'm going to try to give you the best shot possible. Here we go. Here I'm going to remove the corn from the cob. Now you can do this a couple ways. I find that it's really easy to put it inside a bowl, and that way when I'm sort of carving the corn niblets off of the cob here, it falls really nice and conveniently into the bowl. And I could just finish with the bottom here. Daniela, what is one of your favorite summer vegetables, or let's say barbecue vegetables?
To barbecue?
Yeah.
I love corn, but I also love eggplant and zucchini. Yeah, those are some of my favorites to put on the grill.
Love it. Really nice.
And we'll talk about it a little bit later, right? But in the next recipe, we'll talk a little bit about what we need to be careful with cancer-causing chemicals, compounds when we're grilling. But the great thing about grilling plant foods, vegetables, and fruit is that you don't have to worry about that at all. So it's a good way to have that grilled flavor to your food without worrying about some of those cancer-causing compounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love that. And you're going to get, and again, keep in mind, you don't want to over grill it and over char it, but getting a little bit of that sort of char on the outside is going to give this really nice sort of smokiness to the ingredients. So there's our corn all off the cob, and I'm just going to throw this into a bowl. And I guess when we're talking about, Daniela, maybe packing for a picnic or packing for like a camping trip, what are some of like the top things I guess we want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on for food safety?
Sure. So we talked about like the temperature danger zone, and with cold food cold, that part of it, we want to keep food at 4 degrees Celsius or less. So that's why it's important to refrigerate the foods that we bring along on a camping trip or to the picnic. And the way we can do that is with an insulated a cooler with freezer packs. And for the hot foods, I mean, that's going to be a little bit more challenging. That's going to be when you're cooking the foods. But for a picnic perspective, keep everything cold in an insulated cooler. Make sure you actually sanitize and wash out that cooler. Hopefully you did that at the end of your last picnic, but sometimes we come home, we're tired. So just make sure you're using a clean insulated cooler. And then afterwards, throw out whatever's left. I know it's awful to say that, but if food has been sitting in that cooler and the ice has melted or the temperature's gone down, you can't risk eating that food if the temperature has gone above 4 degrees Celsius. And just to add to that, when food is in that danger zone, so between 4 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius, that's where bacteria can grow the most. And when you keep it under 4 degrees Celsius, that is when it stops it from growing. So that's why we want to make sure you do that. I probably went on and on about that, but hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea about the cold foods cold.
Absolutely, yeah. No, important tips. And I think especially, like you said, if you are compromised, it's really important. And especially if you're away from the house, like let's say you're going camping, that's probably, in the middle of the forest, probably the worst place you want to have an episode of some sort of foodborne illness, right? So
yeah, of course.
really, really important. And then to add to that, a couple tips on packing the cooler, because I think it's really easy to just kind of put everything in, pop in a bag of ice and think you're ready to go. But we want to be sure that, especially if we're bringing, let's say, raw meats with us to our destination, it's important to stay out of that danger zone like Daniela was talking about. So a couple things you can do is, if you are bringing any sort of raw meats, keep those in its own cooler, separate from anything that is ready to eat. So, ready to eat would be like beverages. It could be a salad that's ready to eat. It could be fruit that's ready to eat. You want to sort of just keep those separate, just to prevent any sort of cross-contamination. And then for the cooler itself, like Daniela mentioned, our goal is to keep it under 4 degrees, right? So what you can do is obviously ice packs, pack it with ice. One thing you can do, which I love, especially if we're going on camping trips, just to keep an eye on, is put in a little thermometer, put in a little like fridge thermometer, and you can keep it in your cooler just to keep an eye on the temperature. That way you can sort of, if you have to sort of, eat everything now because we're starting to get out of that range, or if you need to add more ice. And then another tip when packing the cooler is, the fuller the cooler is, the longer it will stay cold. So if there's a lot of empty space in your cooler, it'll actually start to warm up quicker, which we don't want. So if you don't have, if you can't fill your cooler up completely, and if you do have a lot of empty space, fill in that empty space either with more ice packs, or even just more product like bottles of water or something like that. Anything to fill in the space, it will just stay colder and longer, which is our goal. So hopefully you're packing your coolers well, and we'll continue with the rest of the salad. Corn, threw in some green onion, sliced up some green onion, and really easy, convenient product. We love using our canned beans. So there's just some drained and rinsed chickpeas, or drain and rinse them. Throw that in. And then for some nice little bit of sweetness and color, some cherry tomatoes, which I've already chopped. Throw that in there. So it's already looking pretty nice. Now, we're going to make a quick little dressing. What I love about, if I'm bringing salads to a picnic or camping, and maybe it's going to stay in the cooler for a few hours, what I will do is I'll keep the dressing separate, and that way I can dress it right before eating it. For something like heartier, like chickpeas and corn, probably not as big of an issue. But if you have like more delicate greens or softer vegetables, it will start to sort of get a little, the texture will start to diminish a little bit if it is sitting in a vinegary dressing for a longer amount of time. So you can pack the dressing separately if you need to. For the dressing, I'm going to use some lime juice. I have a little splash of vinegar in here as well. You can use any vinegar, red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar. So this is going to be my acid, and I love the addition of the lime juice in here. And that's citrus. I'm going to keep this pretty simple. I'm going to use garlic powder. You can use fresh garlic here, but I've opted for some garlic powder. And equal parts olive oil to my acids. So I'm doing this by eye. You can measure it out, but just licking the side of the jar. They're both balanced. Then you can season to taste, but I'm going to go with just a little pinch of salt. So if I was packing this up now for the cooler, I'd put it in a nice sealable container and just bring this along with me. But in this case, we're going to dress it now. So when we're ready, we're going to shape it up, and we're going to make our dressing. So we're sort of forcing the vinegars and the lime juice and the olive oil together. And I'm going to go ahead and pour this on top. It's smelling really, really nice. I'm going to get a little toss here. And what's nice about this is we have different textures. We have some nice crunch from the corn. We have our cherry tomatoes, which are going to have this nice little burst of flavor in there. And
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And just to add, from a nutrition perspective, the vitamin C in the tomatoes, right, is going to help us absorb more of the iron that's in our chickpeas. So that's just another little added benefit from that combo.
Love it. And one of my favorites, I'm just crumbling a little bit of feta on top. This is optional. You can add it if you like. But I love that little bit of sharpness. I'm just breaking it off into big chunks in here. And that's pretty much it. This is ready to enjoy indoors or outdoors. It tastes equally as good. That is our first recipe, our corn and chickpea salad. Yes.